Hello everybody and welcome to episode 35 of This Old Knit. I am your host Nina, otherwise known as Ine, on Ravelry, Pinterest, and Instagram, and you can find show notes for this podcast at the This Old Knit group. And please come join because I love chatting with all of you and getting to know you. So just something I forgot to say last week, but I wanted to throw a shout out to Studio Von Design. She designed the brand new banner that you see at the top and also the badge, and it's just beautiful, and she did a wonderful job. And I didn't give her a lot of direction, so I really appreciate her efforts, and she now is part of the group, which is awesome. So welcome. And thank you again for the beautiful badge and banner. I really, really appreciate your work. So today I am a little bit sick, so I have been drinking copious hot beverages to keep my throat from hurting. If you all will recall last episode that I said I really hoped the children would stay well because I had another whole week off. They did not. I'm sitting on a pillow, so it's a little bit weird. Yeah. Anyway, I think probably one of the 3 Christmas parties that we went to, Megwin picked up something because she was the first one to be sick, and she had kind of congestion, stuffy nose. Then it started to be this really deep chest cough. So we luckily were able to squeeze her into a regular doctor, and her doctor is fabulous. She calls us on the weekends to check and see how Megwin is, like if we've brought the kids in, either one, and they were sick, she'll actually just call and check in, so that's really nice. And so the receptionist was like, I don't think we have time, and she put me on hold, and then apparently the doctor said, no, we're going to squeeze her in. So, they squeezed us in between appointments. She's on antibiotics, and everything was fine, of course. She was starting to get better, and mainly she just kind of hung out in the bedroom, and we let her watch tablet and just rest as much as she could. And then yesterday, Joshua started getting that cough, that deep chest cough. So he's now sick, but he seems to be in still good spirits overall. He does have a little bit of a fever, which Megwin had before too. But we're, keeping him dosed up with Advil, and hopefully he'll be better in time for tomorrow. So it is Christmas Eve today, Christmas Eve day. It's daytime. But I wanted to record a podcast before Christmas just so that I could wish all of you a Merry Christmas, or whatever holiday you celebrate, or if you don't celebrate a holiday, I just hope you get to spend time with your family and do the things that you love. And I hope that we get to see my family tomorrow because we missed seeing them on Thanksgiving, and I would be really disappointed if we didn't get to see them again. So I got to talk to my dad on the phone. I don't think I'll be able to see him, but maybe, later next year. We're talking about trying to go camping down by where he lives so we can hopefully sneak a visit in. But, I think that was the main thing that I wanted to say, was the thank you for the banner. We're up to almost 400 members, so when we hit 400, I'll do another giveaway. Probably just another Ravelry download because that's easy for me, and then I can include all the international people, and I know that there's some deal with EU taxes, so getting gifted patterns, I know for the people in Europe, is kind of nice from Ravelry, so that is the plan. So this week I've got a lot of stuff to show. I have a giant pile of stuff behind me. But I wanted to start with my one and only finished object, which is Megwin's bunny. So I completed him in time for her birthday. So it is the Bon Bon Bunny by Susan Claudino. Isn't he cute? Hello. Yeah. His face doesn't show up very well. I don't know if it'll focus, but Megwin requested that it be in purple. So I tried to find a purple that kind of didn't blend in, but I don't have a ton of embroidery floss that isn't promised to kits. So this was what I had. But I might go over it with a darker purple later, but she likes it. So I knit him out of Knit Picks Felici in the rainbow colorway. I wish he had had a little bit more yellow. I'm sorry, it's a girl. Megwin told me that it is a girl. So I apologize for mislabeling you. But this is just kind of how it came out. I just knit it as it came from the skein. I didn't try to do any color management or anything like that. So there's the tail. It's got a little bit of the green on it and blue. I knit it on a size 1 needle. I put some of the beads in it, like the doll filling beads that give it a little bit of weight, but with the feet being so big, it just they make it tip over, but that's okay. She loves playing with it. The eyes are from 6060 Eyes on Etsy. They're hand painted eyes, and these are purple because she requested that they be purple eyes. So on this one, I did a lot more ends management. The first one I did, I brought it up for showing. It's a little bit messy, but the first one I did was with No Makers, obviously, in the Little Bunny Fufu colorway. And I didn't take as much care to make sure that the ends were kind of stuck inside. And I also didn't notice in the pattern that it tells you specifically there is a number 1 and number 2 leg, so you don't get this weird garter stitch ridge on each side. So I improved on it basically with this one from this one, but they have been well played with together. And you can see one of the ends came out on the ear. So this one I did a lot of I knotted the ends on the inside. I wove them in, and then I also knotted them together. So this sucker is not coming apart at all. Joshua has yanked on some of its body parts, and they are very much on there, which is good. I feel good about that. So, yeah. I realized with this one that I really don't enjoy knitting toys. They have to be knit at such a tight gauge that it actually hurt my hands a little bit. Especially the parts where you have to stuff as you go. So, like here when you're knitting the head out of the body, like there's stuffing sticking up out of the body, and you kind of have to pull really tight and tension while you're knitting, and yeah, I just didn't enjoy the process very much. But I do love the finished objects, so I'm sure I'm not going to stop knitting toys, but I do need a little break from knitting toys. So Megwin wants a big one to be the mommy, because she, with most of her toys, likes to have a mommy and babies. And a daddy too. She's requested a daddy as well, but she hasn't picked out the yarn for the daddy. She does have the yarn picked out for the mommy. So, yeah, I told her I need a little while before I knit another one. And I'd have to order different eyes anyway. These are 9mm eyes, and those are the only size I have. I would need 12mm eyes. So, yeah. But that's my Bonbon Bunny. So, other than that, I've been working on a ton of different stuff. I've kind of been all over the place with my whips. Yeah. I even think I left one downstairs. I left the shawl that I've been working on for Megwin downstairs, but that's okay. I didn't do a ton on it. That one, I apologize, all the sniffling, that's going to happen. Very, very stuffy. But at least I can take some medication. I can't take a ton because of breastfeeding, but I can take Sudafed, so that's what I've been taking. But I just took some, so it has not kicked in yet. I'm saying a lot, and I apologize. Blech. Oh, I did bring it. Okay, we'll start with that one. Okay, so in this bag, I have the shawl I'm knitting for Megwin. Oh, and a mid-row. Dang it! Angry Joshua. Angry, angry boy. It is a knit row, so I will just quickly pop it over on the needles and finish knitting it. I could always edit this part out if I need to, but you all could see how I knit if you wanted. I think I've shown on a very early podcast how I knit. So I tension my yarn, I'm not trying to flip you off, around my middle finger and then up over my index finger, and then I just pick it. And you get to hear my lovely son screeching. He's not as loud because of his sickness. He can't screech very loud. So I'm calling that part a win. I'm kind of excited that he can't screech very loud. That's bad. That makes me a terrible mommy. But he hurts my ears when he screeches. So, we are hopefully going to go over to my mom's for Christmas, and it's going to be pretty low-key, which is good. I think we're taking some pasta to make. We're going to make just an easy pasta primavera because they just have meat. I think Mom said they're going to have meatballs and ham, and my nose is very itchy. I think because I've been blowing it so much, my skin is very dry. Yeah, she said they'll have ham, scalloped potatoes, meatballs, and salad. So yeah, we're just gonna make an easy pasta primavera with like some zucchini and some bell peppers and a light kind of olive oil dressing. And then if I have time today, I will bake a pie, but we'll see. I mean, with the kids being ill, I'm trying to just not commit myself to anything because I need to just be available for them and help them out as much as I can and keep things not too frenetic. So, plus I want to cast on for Little Bobbin's Christmas Eve cast on today. So I have my yarn all picked out, and I am going to do the new pattern by Mina Phillip that's called This Way, That Way Socks, I think. I bought it as soon as it came out when I saw it on Instagram, and I told Mina I'm going to use it for my Christmas Eve cast on because it's so cool. So she said she was doing the same thing, so that'll be fun. That's a really fun thread anyway. I love seeing all of the different yarns and the different patterns and bags, and yeah, it's total enabling. So I'll probably do that a little bit later tonight. What I'm mostly working on is gloves for my husband, Josh. But I've run into a bit of a snag, so I'll show you those in just a minute. Have I stalled enough? I'm almost done. The rows are getting huge on this. So it's more likely that I'm going to put it down mid-row. Before, I was making sure I got all the way across because I don't like to leave things mid-row, but when the rows get so big, like chances are I'm going to get interrupted before I'm all the way across a row. So, anyway. Alright, I made it. Okay, So this is the Boneyard Shawl by Stephen West. It's the first Stephen West pattern that I've ever knit, and it's pretty tame for his designs. His designs are usually quite artistic. But here it is, and you can see that the color runs are starting to get a little bit shorter. I'm hoping that I'll get through the ball before I don't get all the way across with a color, but I don't know. We'll see what happens. It's growing though. I am using Knit Picks Chroma in the Buttermint colorway, and I really like it. It's very soft. Even if it doesn't go all the way across the row, that's okay, because it's just for Megwin. So she's not picky. It has all the colors that she likes, so she really doesn't care about it not striping across. She's not picky like that. So that's that one. I'm knitting it on size 5 needles, I think. 5 or 6. It's on my project page. Let's see. And the next thing I've been working on are my No Makers socks. And I just turned the heel on these yesterday. And so now I'm working on my gusset decreases. And I really, really like how these are turning out. They're going to be so squishy and soft and fun to wear. So this is just my normal 64 stitch, not stitch, stitch sock. And I used the Blueberry Waffles stitch pattern. I did 20 rows of 2x2 rib, and then the Blueberry Waffle stitch pattern, and then a normal slip stitch heel. And like I said, now I'm doing the gusset decreases, and then I'll just pattern, excuse me, on the front of the foot, and then the bottom will obviously be just stockinette. So I am using the 2.5 millimeter Carbons needles, which I like. I bought some more Carbons in a size 4, intending to use them for my Hexapuff blanket, and they actually don't have a very smooth join. I'm sort of disappointed with them. These had such a nice join, and they were so smooth and wonderful that I don't know. I really expected them to be like that too. And unfortunately now I've used them, so I don't know if I can return them or not. I don't know if I have a bad set, or if that's really how they are and I lucked out on the ones. I don't know. Yeah. I haven't decided what I'm going to do yet, so I haven't been using them. But in my, this is my bag I got in the Itty Bitty Knits Advent Swap. I think I showed it last episode. But I've been using those for my Christmas socks. And then this is another thing I got since I last podcast. So Lynette Knits, Janet, put together this fun little Notions tin for me. Sorry, I was using one of the needles. So she just put a little magnet strip on the top, which I need to glue down a little bit more, but that's a really clever idea. I wouldn't have thought to do that. And inside she put some little folding scissors, some needle point protectors that look like yarn balls, some really pretty stitch markers, a measuring tape. These are hard to get out. I believe this is a row counter. Never actually used one before. And then these fun stitch markers too. So those are really pretty. They're a little bit bigger than the, these are more like sock sized. Those are, they would probably go up to 10 maybe. So yeah, I really like that little tin. It's a great idea. So I've been keeping that in my sock bag. That's that one. I'm sorry, that was No Makers Under the Tree colorway. If I didn't say that, it's the Sparkle Gnome base. And I don't need to tell you how much I love No Makers, because I do. Oh, this is an almost FO. This is a bag that I sewed for my mom for Christmas, because I wanted to wrap everything in natural wrapping. And actually, Janet put all of my Advent Swap package stuff in natural wrappings, either tins, so they could be reusable, or fabric with ribbons. So that's been really great, because I've collected it all, and I'm going to sew up a bunch of different price-sized bags to use for wrapping my gifts in. But I made this one for my mom to put her yarn in, because I have the Volan Vine Blitzed Base holiday yarn that I bought for her. So I lined it with this candy cane fabric, and I put this pretty like star fabric on the outside, and then the gingerbread men and women. So this is the last I have of this fabric, and I just need to put the ribbon ties through. So I feel like every one I sew gets a little bit better. Like this one, I actually lined up the places that I left open a little bit better, so it's straight across. I have not been able to manage that on my other ones. They're a little bit wonky, so I was proud of myself that I was able to do that. So here's the other thing I've been working on. This is my husband's gloves, and I'm sure you're all thinking, but Nina, there's not a needle in those gloves. No, there's not. And the reason is that when Josh tried them on, after I had taken the thumb yarn off and put it on thumb stitches off and put it on waist yarn, and then cast on and knit a little bit, it's too long. So this part's really big, which is funny because when I knit all of the increases, he said it was too short. It didn't feel like it was going to go together. So I knit all of this straight to try and give him more room. And then he was like, oh, I didn't realize you were going to knit something in between this part. So he had been like pulling it straight together, like those two stitches were going to join each other. So I basically think I have to rip back to here. And I was really pissed off about that. So I thought what I was going to do instead is cast on the second mitten, knit it to roughly where the pattern would call for taking off the thumb stitches and putting them on waist yarn, and I'm going to do that, and then I'm going to have him try that on, so that way I know how much to rip back on this one, and I won't waste my time ripping it back, reknitting it, ripping it back, reknitting it, because I've already ripped it back. And I've knit a bunch more than I needed to knit, so I don't want to do that again. These are probably the only gloves I'm ever going to knit, because I'm very, they're fiddly, and they have to be precise, and he wants them to fit very fitted to his hand, and so that requires a lot of trying on and making sure that it's fitting to these exacting specifications. And I'm not a designer. I don't know how to design stuff, and I feel like that's pretty darn close to designing, and I'm just not really interested in doing that. So yeah, we'll see how these turn out. Hopefully they won't be going to someone else and him just buying another pair, but if they don't fit, they're gonna just get gifted and he can go buy some at the store. And he's very nice about it. He feels terrible that he gave me bad directions, and he's like, I don't know how to knit, I'm sorry, I was telling you wrong things, and you know, he feels bad about it. So it's not like he's going, oh, these are horrible. I don't want you to think that. So I will probably work on those a little bit more later. And then this is what I have my Hexit Puffs in. So here's the needles that I bought from Simply Socks Yarn Company. And yeah, this part is not smooth. Like I can stick my fingernail between the join on both sides. This join is smooth. With the cable, the join is fine. But I do remember on the sock needles as well that there was almost like a coating, like a film that I had to work off from knitting, and knitting more on it made it smoother. So I almost feel like I need to give them another chance. But, I mean, yeah, between the two of them, they're 15 bucks each, so they're not cheap needles. So, I mean, I don't want to just throw away $30 for needles that I don't even want to knit with. So these are No Makers, Gnome of the Redwoods, House Gnome Base, 2 Hexit Puffs for my Beekeeper's quilt. So it's getting there. Oh, and this is how much I had left of the, oops, the Felici for the bonbon. So I still have a lot. Almost a whole skein, basically. Yeah, I think those are the only ones I knit this week. And then I worked some on my blanket. So I finished if you remember, I had like a little skein left. So I finished that, and then I joined the next ball of yarn. So I'm working on that one now. Oops. And I've been really having fun knitting on my blanket, as always. It's just such a soothing knit. So I think I finished knitting this side, and I did the corner and then over to here. So there it is again. And we've been using it a lot for Joshua's naps. He really likes it. He takes it out of the bag and brings it to me. So it is the 10 Stitch Blanket by Frankie Brown. And I'm knitting it in Cascade Eco Duo. Okay. And I think that is it for whips. I did work on my cross stitch. So that's not really a whip of knitting, but it is a whip, I guess. So I don't want you to see it with that in there. I finished the kind of top part here. So I'm working on the white that's on the gingerbread house, the icing kind of frosting or snow or whatever you want to think of it as, but it's going pretty well. I don't get to work on it often because it's something that I can't work on if Joshua's around. Sorry, I just pulled my thread out of my needle. Because he's really interested in it, and a couple times he's gotten a hold of my needle and I don't want him to hurt himself, so I only work on it if he's asleep. But I'm keeping it in this beautiful, beautiful bag that I received in Deesa's Spoil Each Other Swap. Deesa's Craftworks podcast, Spoil Each Other Swap. And that is really fun. So, okay. So, acquisitions. I just took some out of a bag that I had so that it wouldn't be all crinkly and making lots of noise. But Tanit, who's Jules, sent me a little package. She'd actually talked about that she made a beekeeper's quilt, or started to make one, like years ago, and she only made one hexapuff, and she didn't know how she got a purl row in the middle of it. So she said, I should just send it to you, and you can do whatever you want with it, laugh at it or add it to your blanket. So I'm totally going to add it to my blanket. It's so sweet that she sent it. So here it is. Squeegee! And I think she said she made it out of koigu, and she actually sent me the rest of the ball, which is very pretty. This actually would probably be enough for a pair of socks for Megwood if I did some contrast heels and toes. So I might do that because she would really love those colors. And I'll have a puff for my blanket anyway. She also included some teas. So some English breakfast. Salted caramel, which I've been excited to try. Some cocoa spice, which I like from Yogi. Some breakfast blend, new meat, and some pumpkin spice. So I will probably be drinking those this week while I'm sick. She also sent me a couple of stitch markers. Ugh, I'm getting chills. Sorry. Bleh. I might get my blanket back out. It's a little bit cold up here. I'm gonna do that. And just have it on my lap. Unfortunately, I don't have another needle, or I would just knit on it once I finish podcasting. Okay. There we go. Okay. What are they? Stitch markers? Stitch markers. Here they are. So there is a little storybook of this, Snow Queen. And a fun Christmas one with a Santa hat and a little ball. It looks like a snowball. So those are really fun. So thank you so much for sending those to me. I really appreciate it. And I love your little hexapuff. It's totally going in my blanket. I'm very excited about it. And thank you for the yarn. And then I thought I would share a few of the other things I've got in my advent swap, because I've got so many nice things. I got the Hamptons mug, the Washington State mug, and like a Rhinebeck pin. And then I got these two fun reversibles. So this is the Chrysalis to Butterfly. So Megan's been playing with that a lot. And I posted a little video of her on Instagram playing with them. And this one's the Egged Penguin. So there's the penguin. So she really loves these. And they're pretty fun. I have this book and I have yet to knit anything with it. It's the Topsy Turvy Inside Out book from Susan B. Anderson. So it's all reversible toys. And then I mentioned that she's been sending me stuff in tins. So now I have a lot of great tins, which I love tins. So one of the days she sent me this Santa plate. And he looks like he has cabling on his sweater or his suit and his hat. So that's super fun. So I've kept that in the tin for now, but my intention was to make Christmas cookies and have some Christmas cookies on it, but sickness. enough said. And then today, I got this lovely tin. I want to open. And inside of it, I got 4 skeins of Knit Picks Surrey Dream in the chili pepper colorway. It says that it's a super bulky weight, but it looks like a lace weight to me. I don't know where they're getting super bulky from. That is not super bulky at all. I certainly wouldn't knit anything super bulky in it. I would knit, yeah, maybe even a fingering weight pattern in that. Yeah, I don't know what they're crazy. It's not super bulky. But it's 74% Surrey alpaca, 22% wool, 4% nylon. And it's really pretty. I think maybe like a big shawl or something out of it. I have a shawl from my mom that she knit out of mohair that I use quite often. Ouch. I stabbed myself with my needle. So maybe something similar to that but shaped differently. So I can have different ones. I don't just have 2. Like the one my mom knit me is a large rectangle. So maybe a circular shawl. I don't have any circular shawls. I'll have to think about it, but 4 is plenty for a shawl. They're about 143 yards each. Okay. That is it as far as things I received, but I bought a few things. So I had a coupon for Joann's, and since I've been doing more sewing, I wanted to get a rotary cutter, so I got a rotary cutter. I got a pretty good deal on it too, so I'm pretty happy about that. I've never actually used one before, but I'm excited about that. So it's got to be better than right now. I just mark out all my pieces and then I cut them with scissors, which takes a little while. So I have this cutting mat, so there's no reason I can't use a rotary cutter. And then I got this fat quarter, which I think is a pretty pattern. Kind of some flowers and funky, like scribbles in the background. So, like that. I got a little just fat quarter bundle of bright colors, mostly because I really love this yellow. But it'll be nice for linings or contrast strips. And then I got this pink ribbon to go with the fat quarters I showed last time. So to be ties for those, I think that'll be really nice. So yeah, those are the things I got. And then in the mail, we got some Amazon gift cards from family for Christmas. So I ordered a book for myself, and it is the Quilt As You Go Made Modern, which I totally blame Sarah from the Love Sock Wool podcast for in the best possible way, because I told her I want to be here when I grow up. So it is, she's talked about it a lot on her podcast. It's basically that you piece and quilt onto the batting like one square at a time. So you don't have to take your whole gigantic quilt and quilt it as one large piece with all of the backing and everything on it. So that seems a lot more doable for me. I was thinking I might start with making like a project bag, a quilted project bag, using this technique and see how it goes. I thought what I could do is, they have a pillow sham, so I thought I could use this same kind of idea for the piecing, but make it into a project bag instead, and then just put a zipper on the top. So that's the plan. I mean, even if I don't do anything huge with it right away, like, someday I will have more time for working on other stuff. Oh, and last thing, this was the other thing that was from Because of Sarah of the Love Sockable podcast. I'm sorry, I forgot to get this out of the plastic. Because I know my camera does not do plastic sounds well. So this crazy fun skein of yarn is the Post yarn. And it is a Christmas Island colorway. And it's from Simply Socks Yarn Company. So this is self-striping. So it'll have a stripe of the pink, the hot pink, the neon green, and then the dark green. So I think I'm going to make the vanilla bean socks out of this. The one where you slip one, knit one when you come to the beginning of the next color. I think that'll be fun, because I haven't done that pattern before. So I was trying to decide between this and, excuse me, this for my Christmas Eve cast on, but I think I'm going to do this one. And then I think I'll do this one later, because I think this one will work better in Mina's new pattern, and I want to do that pattern. I'm starting to lose my voice. So, let me take a drink and then I'll talk. So one thing I wanted to mention is, we have a book club at our work that we read different books, and our last one was one called Mistakes I Made at Work. I didn't particularly like the book, but we had like a panel discussion after where we had kind of people in our senior leadership team talking about how did they get where they are, what kind of mistakes have they made in their career along the way, have they had any big, things they'd like to take back, or times where they really messed up but learned something important. And one of the things that the panelist said really stuck with me. He said that kind of today we have, so much of our lives that we share with other people on Facebook or on blogs, on Instagram, etc. And that there's kind of this pressure to have everything be picture perfect, like that your house is clean, your children are clean, your life is clean. And he said kind of try to see past that and don't feel like there is necessarily pressure for you to be like that as well, that if you look closely at anything or anyone's lives, there are cracks. And that's how he phrased it, that chances are they have some dirty dishes in the sink, or floors that aren't swept, children that are not always clean, etc. And yeah, it just resonated with me, because I feel like I don't have a ton of time to do all the stuff that I want to do, and also keep up with all of the housework and everything. And I do feel that pressure. I do feel like society expects me to have my house be spotless and my children be meticulously groomed, and it's unreasonable. So I'm trying to embrace a little bit more that that isn't going to be the case. Everything's not going to be perfect. Like, we could all have our lives be straight out of Pottery Barn and all perfect, and our shots all laid out with everything all organized and beautiful, but to me that's not what life is for me. Kind of going in a circle here, but I have a point. That I think the cracks are what make us interesting. That is part of life, and that is what makes each of us a special and unique human being, and that learning about each other's flaws and weaknesses and interests and lives is part of what makes us as humans interesting and special, and I think it makes your relationships deeper than they otherwise would be. So yeah, that's what I'm trying to work through in my own mind. A good example would be, okay, people know that my husband stays home, and they're like, well, why doesn't he have the house all clean? And it's like, well, if I think about it, he didn't have time to clean the house because he was holding Joshua while he slept. Which is more important, cleaning the house or holding your child because they want comfort while they're sleeping? That's not going to happen forever. He's not going to want to crawl up on daddy's lap and fall asleep for that much longer. And is a clean house really that important? Now, I'm not saying have it filthy where it's not sanitary, but, you know, if it's just cluttered, you know, that's how life is. That's what kids do. So yeah, that's my message to everybody, is to embrace our flaws, embrace us as the whole person that we are, and I think that that will make all of our relationships and interactions deeper and more interesting. So yeah, that's all I had to say about that. So I just wanted to share. But yeah, so I am going to go wind some yarn so that I can be all ready to cast on when the kids go to sleep. And I hope that you all have a wonderful, wonderful holiday. Like I said before, have a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year if I don't get to record another podcast, or, you know, happy holidays in general. And I'm excited for our No Makers Cal starting January 1st. I'm also part of a winter camp in the, came from the Andre Sue Knits podcast, but they actually made a whole separate board for it. So I will link to it if you're all interested. I think the signups are closed for the actual cabins because they assigned us to cabins, but you can still do what's called a day camper, and that's like the Puffin cabin or something like that. So you can still participate and get points and do some prizes. So it should be interesting and fun. So have a wonderful, wonderful time, and I will see you all next time. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye. here at the zoo lights. And here they are. This is the pond. There's some trees. They're actually pink and red and white, but they're not showing up. Now we're going into this cool tunnel. Yeah. Wow. It's pretty amazing. There's Megwin and the family in front of me getting all dotted up. Sweet. It's like jewels. This is amazing. There we go, the pink flamingo. That's where the flamingos are. Beautiful stuff there. Whew. Fun. Bells. Woo! Cool.